Hello, hello.
Hello, Khaled.
Welcome back to
Yes,
the kitchen of big ideas.
I love that. Welcome to our podcast, episode 2 of Small Plates, Big Ideas. And we are back in Khaled's kitchen once again. That's how we're rolling at the moment, but we might switch it up at some point soon.
And this time I stopped Leoni from getting food because last time she got a lot of gyozas. And I'm a fan of making sure the food is gone before anything new.
Sustainability.
If I didn't tell you about the
The free
excess of
fully.
gyoza, what was in mind? What am I missing?
I was going to bring mochi. I was going to go with more of a sweet, like a
Ooh,
dessert style. Yeah, I was going to go for some mochi today. So maybe that's something that we do in one of the future episodes.
my favorite flavor of mochi was passion fruit.
Mm,
Um, I don't know, there was this
refreshing.
brand called Moons.
Mm,
I don't know if you tried it.
I don't know. Okay. I'm going to see if I can find Moons specifically. Also, if Moons wants to sponsor us, then let us know. Sorry, doing cheap shout outs there. So we've got our small plate and the big idea. So I know that I didn't technically bring the food today, but I brought the food that we eating last time. And I know that the person who brings the food brings the idea. I also know that we were going to talk about ad fatigue today, but I have another idea that I want to throw on the table. And it's a topic that is generating a lot of emotion in the market right now, and that is the Jaguar rebrand.
Ooh, don't go there. Don't go there.
Why not? Do you think it's unsafe
Just
territory?
be careful what you wish for. It's a hot topic.
It is. It's a hot topic. It's a hot topic.
But you, being from the UK, I.
You're also a Jag owner, right? In the
Why did you like expose my cars so early? Like, yeah, I did own a Jaguar for 3 years, I guess. But yeah, that was when I was back in Dubai.
Mhm.
Moving to Berlin, I downgraded to a bicycle.
The bicycle and the U-Bahn. That's how we roll.
All right, enough about my automotive experience. So you want to talk about the Jaguar rebranding, which is the hot topic
Yeah.
everyone is talking about,
Yeah.
and there's like everyone who's listening is like, oh no, not another topic about or rant about the Jaguar Land Rover. No, not Land Rover. It was only Jaguar.
Yeah.
The
But you
rebranding.
also told me before that this part of the Land Rover group.
It's JLR.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
a learning for
definitely.
me.
It's like when from a creative agency perspective or media agencies, when you win the account, you win a JLR account. You don't
Okay.
win it like a brand. And then maybe you have different teams working on different brands, but in
Yeah.
a way, that's how it's structured, at least how I know it.
Yeah.
So since you want to talk about the Jaguar rebranding, I know there's a lot of, it's a topic that is very passionate. It's very emotional. A lot of people in the past 2-3 weeks, I guess, shared their emotions. I personally had a LinkedIn post about this, but I felt what I felt because I've experienced the brand.
Okay. And what was that? Like, if you would be happy to share, like, what would the angle of your LinkedIn post have been?
I mean, in general, I was not against the rebranding,
Mm.
but I was not feeling that it was fair for the loyalty fan base of Jaguar to be left out.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that brands need to evolve, and I understand that we never know what happened behind closed rooms. We didn't look at the dashboards and the investment rounds and the
Mm-hmm.
KPIs and the money lost. So I'm sure what they've done is justified, and
Right.
I'm not here to justify it. I'm here to kind of say like there are other ways where you can bridge the old and the new,
Mm-hmm.
and you could appeal to your Gen Z audience, like a lot of brands, and there are lots of options. It's a bold move.
Yeah.
Hats off for doing that. I have a lot to unpack there, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to kind of mumble all through. Like maybe we can have that conversation and see. So what stuck to you about the rebranding? What do you think about it?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna also give a bit of my perspective. I'll try to be unbiased as much as I can, but I'm also gonna open up a bit on other aspects of why this rebranding works and why it's brilliant,
Yeah. Yeah.
but also why it could have been a win-win-win rather
Yep.
than a win-win-loss.
Yeah. Yeah.
And We'll elaborate on this as we
Yeah,
go
yeah,
further.
100%. Yeah, I think, I mean, I'm going to preface this whole conversation by saying I am not a car person. So and what I wanted to share that because you said that you're going to try to remove a lot of bias, and I don't know if that's possible. I mean, like, however, we're always going to be operating in our own bias. So when I speak about like the whole rebrand and rebrands in general, I'm speaking from my own bias, and it might be that I am not Jaguar's target audience. Maybe they tried to make me the target audience with the pink car, but I'm not a pink person. Anyway, I digress. For me, I was definitely surprised when I saw that ad a few weeks ago or whenever it came out. I must admit, the first few seconds of the ad, I thought it was a clothing advert. And I kept watching it and I'm thinking, oh, what's this? Because they had all of these like flowy dresses and people like dancing around and stuff like that. And then when I saw Jaguar, I was thinking, that's the car brand. So it was surprising. What it did was make me think about the brand, right?
It's a big thing.
Yes, because had it been another car ad, there's these stereotypical car ads, right? Where it's like the country, very smooth tarmac country road with the sea and a mountain on either side, and the cars just driving flawlessly down the road. Had it been another ad like that, it would have 1000% gone right over my head. But it made me stop and think like, oh, what's happening there? So it immediately put Jaguar into my brain. Now, to give context, if last year I had enough money in the bank and I wanted to go and treat myself, and I was thinking about buying me a lovely little, I don't know how little they are, a lovely luxury car. Last year, I would never have thought about Jaguar. The brand name would never even have popped into my head to say, I'm going to go to a showroom that sells Jaguar and look at these car dealerships.
Interesting. So you're actually reacting to a shock effect
Yeah.
in a way where it was unexpected, and maybe that's part of what they wanted to kind of uh
This is what I'm thinking and we can see that like not just from my shock effect, but from all of the conversations, rants and arguments. Let's put it's not just conversations and rants and arguments that are happening right now on most social media platforms. It has really caused a stir. And you could say that there is the phrase no marketing, like no marketing is bad marketing, right? Everybody's speaking
any
about,
publicity is good publicity.
yeah, you framed it way better than I did.
I mean, it's just not in a way what I want to add to this. You mentioned, I'm just gonna pause on that one thing you mentioned, that you're used to cars being like running through the coastline and
Hmm.
wide angle shots, something from a drone and so on, and showing a landscape. It seems to me like with automotive, it's very difficult to work beyond those shots. They need to fill in because that's their product. But I'm not justifying that fact. What I want to highlight in when it comes to performance, because you come from performance marketing,
Hmm.
the user's expectation, the person who is in it to purchase, to buy a car, which is a big decision, doesn't want to see the people.
Hmm.
They don't want to see the person driving the car. They want their mindset. I'm talking about the lower funnel, not the upper funnel. You can be as aspirational as you want
Yeah.
with people and lifestyle and create that association with a target audience. And that's what Jaguar focused on.
Mm.
What was a shock is that there was no car, but that was intentional because they wanted to really to make their brand, the rebranding, the hero. They didn't want anything to cover it, and they wanted to keep a teaser effect for later.
Yeah.
But it was the shock or the unexpectation was their hook. But in a nutshell, when it comes to in general car ads, the user is looking for the design, the external, the internal details, the stitching, the leather, the mahogany wood, or those touches, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The those are the emotional bits that are going to give you status or going to put you like in a specific bucket in
Yeah.
which class you are.
Mhm.
So there's a psychological pull in that because let's face it, you're not going to go say, "Oh, this is I don't know, this has that much braking power and so on."
Mhm.
People focus on okay, speed, safety, security, that kind of stuff, depending on what you're shopping for. But like, I just pause here to kind of say it is very necessary in advertising to kind of show this angle of a car driving because the context where the product sits needs to show the capabilities. If it's a country road, if it's a city that is bustling, the size where it's parking, and so on. So it blends the lifestyle based on the city.
Hmm.
This is where the car can only be positioned
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
way. Now comes we go back to Jaguar again. Um, there were lots of discussions, and lots of them were heated, and I was okay. I had fun looking at the reaction of people. That's the fun part.
Yeah, yeah.
But what really rubbed in a different way is like all those creative directors that came out, like virtue signaling and saying, now that you all spoke and you had your bullshit about Jaguar, you
Mhm.
don't understand anything, blah blah blah. So they were like so defensive.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like to them, do you think Jaguar didn't know that this is going to create that backlash?
Yeah,
Don't you think this is a psychology at play?
yeah.
And yeah, I mean, this is music to their ears because they actually created a share of voice and a sentiment there. And a lot of those discussions were like ego driven. Like, here's my status. I understand creative. You don't. Well, it's actually, even if people who are like trashing the brand,
Yeah.
they know deep inside that they are shocked and they're just expressing their emotion. If you're shocked by someone who's just in a context, let's say walking into a church and someone is naked and you don't expect them to be naked, you are going to react.
Yeah.
And this is what Jaguar did. It flipped the script
Yeah, yeah.
and it's natural for people to react. So don't go virtue signaling and giving people shit for, you know, a reaction. And yes, people can react because they're like, usually in human psychology, you resist change, you have a shock effect, and then it sinks in, and
Yeah.
then you condition yourself. And that's
Yeah.
how it is, something that moves in increments.
Yeah.
And you need to evolve either with the brand or you need to walk away.
Yeah.
But you can't be shut up by just saying what you feel about things. If McDonald's tomorrow changes their whole golden arcs to blue arcs, how
And
many,
started serving
I don't know.
like gourmet, gourmet food.
What was this gin that is Bombay something?
Bombay
It was all blue.
Sapphire.
Yeah, it's like they started selling Bombay Sapphire or
Yeah.
whatever. It is going to cause a stir. So that's what kind of like got me a bit like, why are there, like, you're all suddenly brand ambassadors protecting the brand?
Yeah.
And another thing I want to comment on is, so I drove a Jaguar, I bought an F Type, and I had no affinity to the brand before.
Okay.
I looked at it as the rich man's car, or
Yeah.
let's say the premium jet setter kind of aspect, or even like my grandfather's heritage. And I understood from the brand, one of the DNAs is it had its niche audience.
Mhm.
Maybe Jaguar's aspirations are to kind of like break that mold and make more money.
Yeah.
That's, like, power to them. The thing is, again, is I remember when I looked at that, the reason I bought a Jaguar was not because of Jaguar. It was
Okay.
because of Aston Martin. It's one of
Okay.
my favorite brands. I love the design philosophy of Aston
Mm.
Martin. And I remember that there were lots of accents in the design. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the car designer of Aston Martin was hired by Jaguar Land Rover. And then you had like a whole shift in their cars in Jaguar and Land Rover, even like you would see it in the
Interesting.
accents of like the door handles and so on. So I was looking at the F Type, so much resemblance, like the smaller brother of the Aston Martin. I can't afford an Aston Martin, so I went for the F Type. And it gave me this rush, this agility, this brilliant experience. It was the most fun car to drive, and I felt respected on the road.
Hmm.
I shit you not, when I was driving, it's not like I'm driving aggressively or anything. Like, people would give you way, would be,
Really?
yeah, you see nods, you see thumbs up, you'd
More
see.
than when you're driving the Miles Polos in Berlin.
I'm telling you, like, this is something you cannot know if you don't experience driving in a, let's say, such a car with a specific reputation or sentiment or whatever, even if the perception is elevated in terms of Jaguar.
Yeah.
I also worked with Cadillac, and they had the same problem.
Hmm.
They were always associated with grandfather's car. They wanted to tap into the Gen Z audience. They worked with Pharrell Williams.
Yeah.
They sponsored a lot of like events that are hips and artsy and all that kind of stuff in New York and like all across the US. And even they exported that globally to kind of change the perception. They didn't go through a rebranding, but they did reposition themselves in every aspect in terms of like event marketing,
Hmm.
sponsorships, affiliations with other brands, you name it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Cadillac got it right. What I'm saying is trying to say, like, for me, Jaguar could have created a sub brand,
Mhm.
or they could have done a facelift in a
So
way.
we're talking now about like the variations of things that could have happened. So like Jaguar went to the end, like the absolute end of what they could have done in terms of change. But there was like, I don't know, 50 steps that they could have taken up until the point that would have potentially achieved the same or a similar goal than what they set out to achieve.
Again,
Maybe.
I wouldn't say that rebranding or like I don't perceive it as rebranding. It's a rebirth. It feels like a new brand. It's not something that
True.
is so for me, I'm talking in a way, keeping in mind the loyal fan base, the loyal drivers of Jaguar, and sometimes it goes through generations. And you are bold enough, and that's if it's right for you, if you have everything to justify it, then perfect.
Mhm.
Maybe that's what you needed.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say, like, why go and forget about that segment
Yeah.
in a way? I'm trying to kind of maybe, again, go for the win 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 rather than the win win lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to kind of grapple with. Maybe I haven't got the whole um I don't know. I need this to resonate much more, and it syncs with time. But because I experienced the brand, and I remember walking out of the showroom and like having that special Jaguar treatment,
Mhm.
so it kind of like stuck with me in a way to kind of like, okay, but I would buy a Jaguar again, even with this rebranding,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I know and I've experienced that,
Yeah.
and I know that what I should expect. That is the packaging right now. And if it serves them to revive the brand and keep it sustainable, then power to them.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
I'm
And
not
maybe.
trying to be diplomatic, but I'm trying like
No,
I'm
no.
thinking out loud there. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so
I think it's good to think out loud with these things because I think sometimes, and this is maybe what you saw on LinkedIn, people can get very one-sided about arguments, but as you said, this has been thought through. Like this has been thought through. This will have gone through many rounds of meetings, of conversations. And this is, it's often unsexy to talk about these kind of nuances online because people want to be like, really really over this side onto the right or really over this side and onto the left and they want to be, this is how it is. But I love exploring the nuances and like, well, what could have happened? What could have led to this? How does it? Because I think it's in the nuances where you really start to learn stuff. I mean, I've just learned a lot based on what you've said about the experience of being a Jaguar owner and how it made you feel in the past and how you feel about it now. Whereas if you were just standing on the hill and saying, no, no, the rebranding's terrible, you wouldn't have the room to be like, oh, hey, actually, I would still buy it because of this. We don't have to have always the for and again. And this is I love these kind of conversations. Um, and I think from my side, I can't speak so much about the cars topic because I am the miles polo driver in Berlin. I've never owned a luxury car, but that's okay. Maybe one day. Um, but it, it it doesn't surprise me that people are reacting because, as you said, people don't like change and there is an emotional reaction. I think one thing that I will say is that maybe we've not seen the bigger picture of what they're doing. This what's happened right now is very new. Like there'll be a bigger picture, so I think more things could be covered. And I see that like we've seen that other brands and other people have gone through serious rebrands in the past, and it has served them well. I mean, one example that popped up recently for me is like Snoop Dogg. I mean, in the 90s, he was on trial for murder, right? In the early 90s. Have you seen that he's got a YouTube cooking channel with Martha Stewart these days? And he's
You
calling
cannot
himself
make this
like,
up.
exactly right. And who would have thought that in the 90s, like, this hip hop guy who was, okay, I'm not a hip hop head, so if I get things wrong, then don't come for me. But like this hip hop guy that was like really deep into that scene. And there was, from what I understand, a lot of shit going on in the 90s between the East Coast and West Coast. I'm going to stop there because that's where my knowledge ends. But now he's on a cooking show with Martha Stewart. And not only that, we've seen him popping up at the Olympics.
Interesting times.
And not only that, I don't know if you've seen this other thing, but he popped up on an ad. I think it was last year. And I need to share this because it's hilarious. I think it's some Austrian SIM card ad where he popped out of the freezer in someone's kitchen and he's singing this really old German song. Honestly,
How did I miss this?
I'm gonna send it. We'll also link it in the show notes because, also disclaimer, I have learned this song. It is so funny. But I'm just thinking, like, look at all of the, and I think there's even been a documentary on the reinvention of Snoop.
Wait, give me the chorus if you know the song. What does it go like?
Wait, let me
Putting you on the spot there.
Oh, wait, how does it go? I feel shy now. It's something like, "Ist das auf der Welt zu sein?"
Wow. Some German skills. I definitely want to watch this.
I'm gonna send it and we'll link it in the show notes. But somebody's even done a documentary about the reinvention of Snoop, and I'm sure that one of the quotes that he said was like, "Yeah, I just know how to be myself." But he's gone through all of these rebranding, and people still love him, like from all aspects. And I don't know if you could say, because I don't know how, I guess he's still very deep in the hip hop community in that side. But could you say that him doing a cooking show with Marcus Stewart has abandoned like
Look,
his
every
roots at
time
all?
kind of he justifies what he's been through. He's been on all sides of the spectrum, I guess.
Mhm,
And right now he's at this inner peace with himself to kind of say, look, I don't care. Like, I know my self-worth. I know what I've done. I know I'm a legend in this industry.
mhm,
I'm someone that, the young generation looks up to and so on. So, blending that together, why not? If it works for him.
mhm.
We went to personal branding. You can go to Eminem and Slim Shady. He started the Slim Shady. He's the badass. And then he
True.
went to Eminem to show the mature part and grew a beard. And then when a lot of people were giving Eminem, they're just being assholes and bullying him and like talking about him all the time. He took off the mask and it was like, you know what? If you want the badass, I'm going back to the Slim Shady style again.
Mhm,
And like in his albums, he kind of like plays between two characters, and that's a functional aspect to have that. And you could create a sub brand of yourself, but like I want to go back to cars.
mhm.
When I worked on Cadillac, I worked for GM for about 3 years. I was in charge of GMC and Cadillac, and I remember when I was working with the marketing team, we wanted to create a photo shoot very specific to Dubai where we want to break the mold of automotive photography. That was back in 2014 and 2013.
Okay, so it was a while
And we
ago.
had to find a fashion photographer
Interesting.
to shoot the car from that lens.
Mhm,
We didn't want to give the photographer a brief. We wanted the photographer to apply the Vogue way
mm, that's
and
cool.
shoot the car with a lifestyle lens.
Mhm. And how
And
did it turn out?
I mean, we created collateral that was specific for social. The engagement was crazy,
Yeah, yeah.
crazy over the roof. And it was different because it wasn't, we were always struggling, creating a content calendar of the cars and everything all the time, different locations. Okay, great. But we never had like a storyline that is related to, let's say, high affinity couple going for a vacation,
Mhm.
having a yoga, seeing the car not as the hero,
Yeah,
but part of the story.
yeah.
And the people are they're well dressed, they're going through life, entering a gala dinner or something with the support of Cadillac, who
Yeah,
is with it, like, it being the vehicle of their lifestyle
I love
rather
that.
than, oh, the
The
vehicle
main
that makes 0
feature.
to 60 in whatever seconds.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was something that we really enjoyed, and we also used that photo shoot in photo exhibitions and galleries.
Yeah.
And that's how you break into culture
Yeah.
and subculture. And I'm not saying, and I think Jaguar is trying to do that, but in more bold way.
Yeah.
For me, I want to actually, so today, the creative director came out and he was explaining, because Jaguar started with that and then they revealed the cars after a week or two.
Yeah.
The cars look good. They look, future proof. They have this
Yeah.
element into them in terms of design. The colors are a bit, I'm still taking my time. They called it the London blue, one of the colors, and the other one was called the Miami something, Miami pink.
I've not seen, I've seen the pink one. I haven't seen the
But they were
blue
linked
one.
to London's identity, which confused me. I'm not from the UK, so I don't know.
I
But
also wouldn't
could
consider
could
London blue.
yeah. But anyway, for me, what didn't really stick with me is copy nothing. The creative director said like this is how he briefed his team and yada yada yada. But like I could argue and sit back and say copy nothing. I think you copied Klarna. Pay now. Pay Klarna, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The payment app.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So buy now, pay later
Yeah.
scheme kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If you look at their art direction, it's very similar in
Yeah.
a way from an aesthetic point of view.
Yeah.
I could sit back and say, hey, you got inspired by Barbie, which is not wrong. The Barbie movie, it
Yeah.
took the
Yeah.
world by storm last year. If you
Yeah.
remember, every brand wanted to
Everything was
do a Barbie.
pink.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think copy nothing really stands out for me, even from the design perspective. As a Jaguar driver, I knew the philosophy of design was copied from Aston Martin. So
True.
it does not really convince me
Yeah.
in a way. And that's why I took my LinkedIn post in a way to kind of say, look, great. I respect every creative effort to think out of the box and to shock. I
Yeah.
love that. And hats off
Mhm.
to them. But I can't really believe the copy nothing was like, I don't think it has solid ground, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I understand it.
I think you copied something to desperately get the Gen Z attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I think.
I think, yeah. I think that's happening. We see a lot of that these days, reinvention as opposed to innovation. And is that because there's already so many ideas that are already out there that like to truly innovate, not so easy to do, especially like in a short space of time. Maybe it's not even possible anymore. And there's nothing wrong with re-innovating, like reinventing things. But as you said, if you're gonna go, I know what you mean. If you're gonna go that bold, you need to have some solid ground to make sure that people are not poking, because people will poke. People will poke around and people will question it. So I can understand why you've come to that 100%. I've also seen a few other people talk about the Barbie and the pink, because I think the pink color was one of the things that I was most surprised about. I mean, fair enough, the reinvention, but like, not that there's anything wrong with the color pink, but it was like, how can we go that extra mile to, um, we reinvent the logo, we reinvent the car, we reinvent all of that, and we make it pink. Like Jaguar's really never been associated. For me, if I've thought of Jaguar in the past, it was always like
Executive and
dark green, blue, like those kind of colors.
but it's all good. Like, the color shouldn't define the direction of like they can go and explore the whole color wheel and palette. And that's totally, that's what you want. You want the boldness of of brands like Jaguar to do steps like Apple started with a rainbow logo with like all those kind of stripes, and then now it's very minimalistic and white and so on.
Yeah,
There are brands who are going back to retro looks like Burger King and Pepsi and so
yeah,
on, right? So it's pretty common in a way. I think Jaguar is going to succeed, and it's going to from that shock factor.
yeah,
It got a lot of and we have to wait and see. But my
yeah,
prediction is it is going to succeed, and I don't know if it's going to transition the people who were under the brand, who were loyal to the brand, who owned the Jaguar to move forward. And they might have that business decision to kind of say, you know what, we want to break up with you, and
yeah.
this is relationships end everywhere anyway. So we have to wait and see.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. I think this will be definitely one that I'm going to be monitoring from time to time because I'm interested.
I think it's a good also lesson to kind of look at the whole branding journey.
Yeah. Like a case study.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Would you actually buy a Jaguar after, like, if have this rebranding? Let's say you have the money, all that kind of stuff.
Do you know what? I'd consider it now. Or it would be something that I would look at. At least I'd have the name in my head to be like, I actually want to look at what cars they have available and whether I like the model, whether I like how they look and feel. So it's done something because in the past it wouldn't have even crossed my mind. Whereas now it would cross my mind. So I guess in that case, Jaguar, if I am part of your target audience, then you might have succeeded. Not saying that it's going to be next year, but who knows?
Good job, Jaguar. There you go. You have your
You've
first
converted
testimonial.
someone. Oh,
Fantastic. It was fun to speak about this.
I enjoyed it. That
Yep.
was cool.
All right. So, should we wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up. And then next time, maybe we get around to talking about ad fatigue with a different spread of snacks. Yeah.
Just don't come with cotton candy
Okay.
based on the Jaguar theme for now. All right. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much.
Ciao.
Bye.